Cool, so my OtOLawn has finally arrived. This is the box, really nicely packed. And inside the box you get Lawn Care Simplified, that's your starter guide. At the top we've got here a little box, which you can pop these open. Tricky to do with one hand, but you've got all your tools. I think this is for the bracket. And you have these. So these are to screw into the base. And I think that's all the tools you need. The other thing that we'll probably find in the box is the bracket itself. So, ta-da! Right, there she is. So that's our OtO device, and that's what she looks like. So let me just get rid of these. Let's put those to one side. So what you have here, you can see the size of this panel compared to my hand. It's really, really nice and big. You can see the front nozzle here, which rotates, and that's how it shoots out the spray, 360 degrees. Down here is the side that you plug your hose in, so that's for the hose line. She's pretty much the same both sides. I think up here is a little wake up button that we'll get to. She's got branding on the front. Spin around. And pretty much the same, which is good because it means that when you are setting up, depending on the side that your hose outlet falls onto, you can either have it in the ground attached to the wall this way around. We can also have it in the wall attached to the ground this way around. And then the top piece over here, let's open this up. As you can see, there's these are the compartments. Now inside of here, because we're just unboxing this, we'll get rid of these caps, which are actually for the different solutions, fertilizers, you know, things to kill bugs and mosquitoes, things like that go inside of here. But at this point, inside of here we have, there's nothing else in there, they're just empty channels. We have a cable. So although it's got a really nice big solar panel, in the event that that does need topping up, there's the opportunity to plug this cable in. And the cable sort of sits very nicely. Just try and pop this one back into here. But you'll see that the cable compartment actually sits quite snugly just over here. And what you need to do is probably grab just a little screwdriver to pull this out. So bear with me a second, let me see if I can grab a pen. So I've just gone to grab some scissors. So if you just, there's a little rubber thing here, we can just tease that out. Now I can grab that. There we go. And basically all it is a little holder in there. So you can just see those two little notches that this little thing sits into. Now this rubber piece here, I mean, that's basically a cap. Obviously, if your OtO is going to be sat on the floor, you want to protect it from any rain. Give me a second, let me just try and pull this off. There we go. So you take the cap off, and what you have here is the charger, so or the adapter. So this wire over here connects pretty nicely. I think the end is inside there. But you'll see that it connects pretty well. It's a nice little charge, should it need to be plugged into the mains. So, you know, there's the option for using it with the solar panel. There's also an option to purchase another solar panel, but you've also got the opportunity, if you need to plug it into power, which it can stay plugged in to the whole time, or if it just needs a boost because it's winter and there have been a lot of cloudy days, and there's that option too. The other thing inside the box, I think it's the last thing. I don't think this is anything, nope. It's the bracket. So let's just take that out. And this bracket, you can see the way that it is designed. So it's designed to either you know, be pinned onto a wall like that. So it'd be screwed, and the OtO would sort of sit into these grooves over here with the plugs that I've just showed you. So these get screwed to the bottom of the OtO, and then they sort of sit and rest into the holes. And that's the sort of position. So you would use that position actually if you're putting this on the ground, in which case it would sort of go into the dirt this way up. So your OtO sitting on the top of there, those plugs go in that way up, and it's sitting on the ground, but it's sort of locked into a sturdy position. So it's one bracket, nothing too taxing. It can be used on the ground or as a wall mount, and it comes with the hardware. So we've got these little plugs, and we've got the screws to get the bracket hung. What you probably will need is some wall anchors, some wall plugs, if you're sort of drilling into concrete or anything like that, or a wall. Okay, let's try and get this thing set up. Okay, so this is the garden area. So there's a sort of, you know, this patch of lawn grass over here that goes back in a very interesting shape. So I'd want water obviously to the lawn, probably want a little bit of moisture around the foundation of the house. If I can get it to spray up just on the gravel over there a little bit, I think that's not a bad thing. And then I probably want to select this section here so that the plants get some water as well. So in terms of fitting and placement, I'm going to get it against this wall, and this wall, in terms of the, you know, how far away it is, actually that is probably about 29 feet from that end wall to here, to the connection. So it should make the distance in the back. I've also decided to have it up on this side over here, so, you know, it's slightly off center to the lawn and where it is, but I think I want to get it right back into the corner over there. I want to make sure that if it's not on this side, it doesn't, you know, it's going to go into the little fire pit and probably spray over. So probably not good positioning over there. So I'm thinking just over here, sort of right where I'm standing in this angle, should mean that it can get a line of spray just going along there, but we'll also be able to get it like way back into the corner there too. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this guy set up. A couple of things that I want to just point to that I've done is I have put what is this called, a backflow preventer. It's a tiny little attachment that goes on the hose, and with anything that's connected to a hose and it's got pressure going in it the whole time, this just prevents any water backflowing into the home water system, so that can contaminate drinking water. It's a couple of dollars, this device. It has got, I don't know if I'll be able to get the shot in, but if you can see just down in there, there are a couple of very small holes that sort of sit in there, and the purpose is that if there is water that's trying to flow backwards, instead of letting it go backwards, it will spit it out. So this means that there'll be a bit of drip that comes from this, but that's because it's actually working. I wanted to make sure that I have a splitter. It will be on for this small hose here that's going to go into the OtO device the whole time, but sometimes I need to use the hose for whatever reason, so I want to have that connected as well. But I would recommend getting one of these just to prevent any contamination into the house. Hose I've got is really small, it's 3 foot sort of hose. And with this, I just intend to, you know, have it attached fairly close, and yeah, hopefully that'll do the job. Hopefully I was worried it wouldn't be long enough, but actually it's fine based on where I want it positioned. So let's get cracking. Let's see if we can get this bracket hung on the wall. I'll be back. Okay, We have downloaded the OtOLawn app, and when you download it, it sort of takes you through a number of steps. So we're going to go through these steps. Okay, cool. Verify your location. Fine. Make sure that the device is in the spot that gets 3 hours a day of direct sunlight, that is within range of 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal only, people. Take note of that. Install done, right? We did this. That's good. It's groovy. It's fine. It's in a good position. We've hung it on the wall. We used the brackets. We're good to go. Yep, that's exactly what we did. We put the plate in, put the OtO on top, and actually you can see there that you put those little screws in to secure it into place. Ground install we haven't done. The only difference with the ground install is actually you screw the little nuts into the OtO and then you just pop it on the top. So obviously there's no screwing from underneath because the bracket is placed onto the ground when it's pushed in. Connect the hose. Done that bit actually. Hose connected. It's not the tidiest looking situation with the hoses. I'll need to do something about that, but the hose is connected, just this sort of 3-foot green hose, and as described we've got the vacuum breaker backflow preventer, so we're good there. Right, that's done. Turn the switch. So turn the switch to begin the pairing the device with the app. Now, if I go over to the device, this is the switch. All right, we've got a blue flashing light. Okay, so if we hit next, connect to OtO. I guess that's the name of our OtO. Okay, and we're in. Basically, I literally just had to stop for a second and I took the phone round just over here, held it by the device, and actually it then recognised it and it progressed. So a little bit glitchy, but that's okay. Let's name it. So let's call it backyard. Backyard. Cool. Set up Wi-Fi. All right. Be right back. Cool. Let's hope that this works. Okay, your OtO's online. Let's add the OtO. All right. So as you can see here, what it's currently showing me is that I have a front yard setup, and I do. I have 2 OtO devices. So at the moment, when I come into my app, it's actually showing me the front yard. If I click out, now what we see is that I have a front yard device and I have a backyard device. So this is kind of like your dashboard page. If you have only one device, you're only going to see one at the top. And over here, you can see the other sort of metrics. So you can see how full the battery is. So the one in the front is totally full at the moment. It probably gets more sunlight earlier in the day, whereas this side will start getting sunlight on it from about now onward. But then it also gives you a view of the Wi-Fi signal. Now, although the front yard says it's not good, I do know that even though it says not good, it does still deliver scheduled times and the water flow at the right time, even if it's on not good. And that changes and fluctuates a little bit. It's a bit annoying because when I take my phone out in the front yard, I've got full bars Wi-Fi, exactly the same as in the back. I have a mesh Wi-Fi system. So the fact that it says not good is a little bit annoying, but I think it's probably because it's trying to pull a 2 gigahertz rather than 5 gigahertz. So anyway, so you get the battery, you get your Wi-Fi connectivity, and then you get a range of options. And then the images below basically show your OtO from a sort of bird's eye view, and the 3 different chambers inside that can be filled. Okay, let's go into backyard, because as you can see, we have no zones in the backyard that are set up. In the front yard, we have 2 zones that are set up. And this is probably the trickiest part of the process for me. It took me a while, not gonna lie, it's a struggle. And then once you've set the zones up, you have to almost do a practice to be able to see where it ends up landing. And because I set up the front yard one first, and I've only had both the OtOs were delivered yesterday, so I've had them for 24 hours. Setting up the front yard meant that this morning when I watched it go off, it was absolutely hammering it over to the neighbour's driveway, which is never any good. And there you just saw the Wi-Fi signal flip to okay. for the front yard one. Cool. So when you go into the options, we've now got the opportunity. Actually, let's go back to that. I'll just show you what's in the menu there. So you get an idea of battery, network. There's winter mode, if you're in some of the states that get very cold, which you want to put your device into, rename and delete. So we don't want to do any of those things. We just want to click on this, and we want to configure our first zone. Now, this is where the fun begins. So let's hit the button, name your zone. There's only going to be one, no, there's going to be 2 zones. I think, as I mentioned, there's the lawn area. There might be a zone back here that I want to do over the gravel from time to time and around the foundation of the house, because I'm in California and it's very dry and arid, and the clay soil can crack, so keeping some dampness against the foundations of the house is not a bad idea. But generally I'm going to have one zone, which is going to be the lawn, and then another zone which is going to be these plants over here. So I'm going to go for 2 zones. And this is going to be the challenging part, because setting up the zones is never very easy. I mean, maybe it is if you've been doing it for ages, but so let's call it lawn, because I've only got a lawn zone. Sorry, I'm typing there, adding there, add zone. All right, so then they ask you to basically set the zone boundaries. So now we need to tell OtO where to water by setting your boundaries. So we're going to set some boundaries here. So we're going to try and go for a polygon setting. So create an area that you want to water. All right, let's go for that. It's connecting. I'm going to try and do this. It's probably going to be a bit shit, but let's see how we go. Oh God, that's awful. Okay, press the pair button to connect your device. The pair button is the same. It's this little button here. I'm going to toggle it. Sorry, I'm trying to do it one-handed. Blue light's gone on. Bluetooth, God, that's no fun, is it? Make sure your hose is on. All right, she's doing it. Hose is on. All right, so this isn't easy to see in the light, but basically you can see what the settings are. You can see the OtO device. Currently got it, well, it's shot everywhere, in fairness, as you can see. Currently got it to kind of at the corner that I want. The thing that you need to do is to really talk about the trajectory that you want it to shoot. So I want more pressure versus less. Let me try and get out of the way actually. Versus less pressure. And then do I want to turn it a little bit? So when I look at it shooting over there, actually it's in a fairly good position. Try and get it to go a little bit further. I'm going to try that. Yeah. And the stream of water is now closer to that corner, right? If I can get it to turn a little bit, I press this turn button. Yes, okay, we're good. I like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say that's the position that we're going to start, right? It's this corner. For clarity, I'll take it up there. We're getting it pretty close to the edge, so I'll take that for now. So let's go set point. Right, so we've set the point. Now I'm going to move it along. See if we can get it by pressing this button to move. Yeah, so the angle now, right, it's moved to the sort of over there, which is good. I need it to go further into the corner, so I'm going to hit this button. We're going to see if it gives a bit more spray. Good. It's still not far back, so we're going to move the angle more. Hopefully I'll get it into that back corner. Alright, so I toggled that button over there on the right, and now I'm gonna push it forward. I need a bit more pressure, probably a tiny bit more if it'll give it. Alright, so now look at that. So we've got it into this corner, we've got it into that corner. Now I'm gonna go back to over here and I'm gonna say, cool, you know what, I'm happy with that, that's good. We've got one point there. We've got another positioned, it's firing in the right place. I'm going to go ahead and click set point. Right, now we have a line. Okay, so now it's a very complicated setup, if I'm honest. You get the opportunity to add, I think it's 10 points off the top of my head. Like I said, I only got my devices yesterday. Now I've got 10 points and I've got a fairly curvaceous looking yard. But what I think I'll do is I'll take in the curves at the earliest angle and try and get some spray that will go onto the gravel and some spray that will go onto the stones over here on the left. And that's okay by me, right? It's fine that it gets wet, provided the lawn gets the water that it needs. So this guy's still pumping out a volume of water. Let's get it moving. Right, so the angle I want to take is, let's get this thing to spin round. All right, and this is pretty bloody cool. Right, so I'm hitting this turn button. Like turn, keep turning. As it's turning, the pressure is sort of, you know, getting it to go way over there. It's all a bit trial and error. I think I'm going to reduce that pressure a bit. Reduce it a bit more. All right, that seems a bit better, right? So let's pull it back a tiny bit more. Yes, right, we're back into lawn. So, you know, just decreasing the pressure by clicking on that. Increasing the pressure is over there. So we're in a good place, actually. I'm going to move that along a little bit. Let's see how we do by clicking on this, seeing if it moves over. All right, and we want it a bit further in, so I'm gonna shoot for suggesting that we get it to that point. All right, so the point is kind of there now, and I'm gonna try and just close that off as though it's a box. So I like that. I'm gonna hit set point. All right, guys, so I basically ended up semi-drawing the pattern of the lawn. And when you sort of do all your points, and as you're going through, you hit add the point, there's a button which I've now just accidentally covered, but it basically says close. So you get to your final point, and if you hit close, it draws the line up to your first point. So it closes that last sort of straight line of the lawn. So your boundaries have been successfully set. I'm going to hit confirm, and it takes you into a weekly schedule. So the good thing about this view is that here you get the opportunity to select the days, and at the moment it's pre-selected some days over here, so we can see the next time that it's going to deliver some water. And these obviously you can change. So over here, if you go to the menu, you can see some of the options. We could hit edit the schedule for the lawn, and actually I don't want it to be 6 AM, I want it to be earlier than that, so I'm going to select it to happen, let's say 4:30. And you can see that time can be scheduled by the hour and the half hour, right? So you haven't got all the options in the world. So if you're somebody that likes to be precise and say, actually, I want it at 5:15, that's not going to be available to you. Make sure you get that lawn scheduled on the hour or half an hour. And there you go. And then you have the option to sort of select your days. I don't want Wednesday. I want actually a Tuesday. I don't want Friday. And that's how I like my schedule to look. And then you have this section here, which is about skip if it's raining, and if the winds are above 25 miles per hour, let's skip that too. We can toggle this back and forth. And so that's kind of how I want it to look. I don't think I hit save there. Change, pick a date. So let's say we want it to go off at 4:30. Confirm. All right, so now it's saved at the top there. So, custom schedule, Monday and Friday. Those defaults look good. I'm going to hit save. Schedule updated. So, I can now close this. And then we're back into the lawn. One of the interesting things here is that you've got the solution ads. You can also hit it to go on and off, importantly, especially when you're going through the setup and setting the zones, because that is probably the trickiest. I think we're used to being able to tap a button on our phones and actually it moves and it changes very quickly. Whatever we want is pretty instant. I think here you'll find that when you're trying to move, particularly with the directions of setting the zones, it's got two arrows, as you've seen on the right and the left, and they kind of, well, I say the arrows would have been more helpful. They're saying, shall I rotate this way or rotate that way? And you need to hold things down. You need to wait, give it time. There's a bit of a lag. It's not immediate for the system to go, okay, I need to apply more thrust or more throw to the water versus less throw, and I need to apply, you know, a different and I need to change my angle. So there's things that I think will be improved over time, but at the moment you just have to be aware of the fact that it's going to be a process of trial and error with setting up the zones. And then down here you have your weekly watering limits. You might want to change this. You might want to say actually normal, weekly. That sounds good to me. You might want to be more conservative and say, look, I want to conserve some water, so I'm not going to go for that. So I'm going to go for normal. It's twice a week that I set it up instead of 3 times a week. So I'm going to hit, there's nothing changed there, so it's just cancel. And then you can edit the zone boundaries. So this is one of the things that I learned really quickly, was actually, it's also very dependent, right, on how much water you've got coming through. And I think the key thing here is that you want to keep this at full when it's open. You want to have it open the full amount so you get the furthest amount of throw. The other thing that you want to make sure is that you know, basically you'll see that if you haven't had it open all the way and then you do have it open, it affects your boundaries. So you're likely going to need to edit, because I needed to do this a lot. I literally made a square in my first attempt, and then I was like, okay. And editing the boundaries means you click that button, then you've got to go over to the device and toggle the wake up button, which will then show you. So you press the pair button to connect. So we can do that. Ta-da! Great, connection successful, and then you can start, right? So now it takes me back into my setup. It also picks off, you know, the OtO. And then the good thing about this is that I can say, all right, fine, I can see my boundaries. What I want to do is I'm not happy with this one, right? So if I'm not happy with it, I can click on it, it goes green, and I can hit edit. And the minute that you hit edit, it should take us to that point. So, right, I'm gonna let's hit edit over here, hit edit, and she's off. All right, so that's the point that I might want to edit. And then in doing so, I'm able to go, hang on a minute, it's a bit more left, then it's a bit more right. And I've done a bit more left, a bit more right, given it a bit more throw, and now I'm going to hit save. Save the edit, it changes up there, and then we can hit save. By hitting save, it stops the device from throwing water. Cool, zone boundaries reset. And that's one of the things that I found the most useful, is that actually the first time I set it up, it was horrid at the front. It was literally firing across my lawn onto the neighbours. I should have started with the back, is my advice to everyone. If you get two, start with your back lawn until you get pretty good at doing your front lawn, because you're either going to shoot someone in the face with it, or someone's car or someone's driveway with all of that water. And then from there, I think you'll get a hang of it. And that's it. I think it's relatively straightforward. When you get the hang of the zone setting, it becomes great. Solutions will be my next part. I'm really keen on getting to grips with the solutions, and you know, the application of those just being really, really easy. But I'm set up, pretty good to go. Hose is short, the OtO's in a good location, and it's within firing range of the whole lawn. I think that's one of the things you want to set up. You know, make sure you measure and test before you get to a position where you are putting it on the bracket on a wall and you realise it can't reach. Cool. That's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care.